All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
Folks, I think you saw after yesterday's show, I know many of you were here and watched it. I think you saw the ops. The ops are everywhere. So this is the best piece of advice I can give to you about the political space right now. Best piece of advice. You ready? My best piece of advice is this. There are ops everywhere. When I say operations, I mean organized efforts to change the way you think about the Trump administration that are not guided by anyone's true feelings, but guided by an operation. The operation may be ideological, it may be financed by money, but it's not genuine. The ops are everywhere. I'm going to go through that in the beginning of the show today. I'm going to show you in the beginning of the show too, two completely contradictory articles that say the exact opposite thing about me. I don't like to make the show about me, but because I'm going to demonstrate to you how you cannot rely on liberal media representatives or their doomer allies to ever tell you the truth. They have this ox's gourd thing where they'll flip on a dime. These two articles just came out yesterday, say the exact opposite thing. I mean the exact opposite thing. It takes no analysis by anyone at all to read it. And you'll see what I mean. That any of these people will flip on a dime as long as Donald Trump's ox is the one that's gored. Ops are everywhere. I also have a message for the leakers trying to destroy Kash Patel, as a lot of his good work, a lot of the work that was done there over the past year starts to come to fruition. I got a message for them. It's not going to be a pretty one either. I got a big show for you today. Last night I was out with my friend Sean Hannity. I was doing his podcast, Hang Out with Sean Hannity. I think that's going to air next week. But man, we talked for 2+ hours. I couldn't believe it. I looked up at the clock. He's like, look at the clock. I think it's on the show. I'm pretty sure I can edit it. I'm like, what? I thought it was 45 minutes, like 2 hours later. The banger of a show. Any questions you had about anything pretty much be answered with that. A lot of Americans trying these weight loss drugs, these injections, the GLP-1s. Well, a lot of folks looked into them and passed. They don't want to do the injections. They're maybe afraid of what happens down the road. So check this out. You want to lose weight? It's the product I used. I lost more than 20 pounds on it. It's called Lean, L-E-A-N, by Brickhouse Nutrition. I love it. The best part, no needles, no prescriptions. I use it. Paula uses it. I can't say enough about it. I lost weight with Lean, and you can too. Go to brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use code Dan for 20% off. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Results vary, not FDA approved. Thank you, Brickhouse. Check out Lean. Also, today's show brought to you by All Family Pharmacy. Listen, we're all getting a little bit older every day. It's tautological, right? Every day that passes, the youngest you ever were is right now. Sometimes, you feel a little off, you feel a little groggy, brain fog. It's pretty common. You're not as sharp. Your energy dips. Recovery takes a little longer. You wake up. You're just not firing on all cylinders. That's not in your head. It's often very real. So I started looking into what people who care about performance are actually doing, people at the peak of their game, because, I'm big into health hacks. And this is what I found many biohackers are using to stay sharp. I'm talking about NAD. If you don't know about NAD, please look it up. It is a bedrock support system for cellular energy. I use NAD myself. Just took one of the injections this morning, as a matter of fact, and I feel great. A lot of people are also using methylene blue for focus and clarity, and peptides like sermorelin and glutathione as well for recovery and overall wellness. I use all these products. Check with your doctor, however, I use these products too. What I like about All Family Pharmacy is that they don't make it complicated. You go online, fill out a quick medical form, a licensed doctor will review it for you, and if appropriate, write the prescription and ship it right to your door. It is simple and straightforward. This is a great company. I was talking to somebody about it last night. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino30 to get 30% off. Prescription required. Always consult a medical professional before taking any medication. This is not medical advice. Just check out, obviously, screw the date up there. To get code, use Bongino30 for 30% off. Okay, thank you, All Family Pharmacy. We really appreciate it. Ding, ding. First, folks, before I get started, a message to these FBI leakers who are out there trying to stop Director Kash Patel from his initiatives to clean up the government and institute broad accountability for a lot of the weaponization that happened before we got there. Let me make this quick. You guys and ladies doing this are filth. You're garbage. You're an embarrassment. You disgust me. I was proud to have worked there. I worked with some amazing people. To the guys and the ladies out there with dirt under the fingernails, out there, pulling bank robbers, drug runners, terrorists off the street, CCP spies, the VCAC squads working against violent crimes against children. Thank you for everything you do. I mean it. It was an honor to work with you. To the scumbags out there leaking to the media, bullshit stories and lies are bullshit, to try and get cash out because you don't want to go back to doing your job. I'm really sorry about the language here, but you can go fuck yourself. I despise you. You are, if I see these little slugs outside of my house sometimes, or you are a lower form of life than the single-celled organisms that can pollute people's body. You disgust me. You absolutely disgust me. I was talking to a friend of mine last night about this. This topic came up. The endless, it's not that even the stories have any air of authenticity to them at all. You guys just want him out because you don't want to do your freaking jobs. You don't. You want to sit on your fat asses, collect a government paycheck, collect a pension, and do nothing and hope a liberal Democrat president comes in so you can get back to targeting people. You're gross. You're gross. I'm glad we got rid of a ton of you. I know some of you like ticks or hiding because you don't have the balls to stand up and go on the record. Anonymous sources say, grow a pair of nuts and put your name in the story. You won't because you don't have any balls. Your kids and your parents are embarrassed by you. Your last name will go down in infamy. You are a genuinely horrible piece of human waste. That thing that comes out of your rectum, that's you. That's you. You disgust me. I'm embarrassed you had the same badge I did because you didn't earn it. You didn't earn it. Sorry, folks, for the language on that. I really am. But we are finally getting to a place right now, after a year of work, where we have this organization back doing what it's supposed to be doing. Arresting bad guys, arresting through counter intel, CCP spies and other espionage agents, interdicting and stopping terror attacks. We have them out there doing operations like restoring justice and restoring justice, finding thousands of kids who are being abused and rescuing them. We have unprecedented transparency, tens of thousands of pages of documents you would have never seen before. And what are these people doing? Running to the media with their crank in their hands, peeing in their freaking diapers. I'm upset. I don't like it. I think I heard like Cash had a tequila shot one time. Go F yourself, you pieces of shit. You disgust me. You absolutely disgust me. Having said that, I'm in a bit of a mood today, as you can tell, because it's just like endless nonsense. You know what? If you could, guys, go out and put up that Hill article first. Do you want? I can't hammer this into your head enough. The reason Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, and the FBI Director, Kash Patel, are almost like the sole targets of liberal media and doomer ops is precisely because they are fixing the two most important entities, in my opinion, in the federal government, law enforcement and the military. Here it is. Max Rigo, The Hill, April 22nd, 2026. Democrats working to make sure Hegseth and Patel are on their way out the door. This is not an accident, man. This is an op. It is so clear. Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you trust. Remember I told you about the black pill, doomer, liberal media symbiosis, the Eddie Brock Venom symbiote? How they even admitted, by the way, these doomers who are totally full of shit, don't have an ounce of integrity at all. They pretend to be part of the MAGA movement, and they openly admit that they are aligning with our enemies in the liberal media because they want Donald Trump out while pretending to be one of us. And I told you, you'll see it because the liberal media will do this ox's gourd thing where they'll change their story on a dime about anyone as long as they think the story will destroy Donald Trump or people like Patel and Hegseth. Here is a textbook example of Dan Bongino's whose ox is gourd effect. As long as it's Trump or people making change go down, they will align with Idi Amin or Adolf Hitler if they have to. They'll be like, trouble man in Germany had a comment. That is what they'll do. They don't care at all. Put that up, guys. Here's an article in The Root, a left-leaning outlet by Phoenix Halley. Is that even a real name? April 21st, 2026. So what is it? Just recently. This is a list of Trump allies, they said, who are turning against him. I was stunned to find my name on there. Did you guys know that? We turned against Trump? Justin's stunned. He's like, really? When did that happen? I don't know. Of course, they mentioned here's the quote, in case you want to know. By the way, this is obviously total bullshit, but here's the ox's gourd effect. They will use me as a cudgel to go after Trump as long as, whether the story's accurate or not. It says among the most vocal against Trump's handling of the Epstein files is Deputy Director Dan Bongino, who stormed out of a meeting with AG Bondi, The Guardian reported. MAGA leaders once promised to unleash the shield filed if Trump was elected to office, but now that he's been there for 6 months, many say the administration is trying to hide something. Keep in mind, this article just popped. They don't even have any, the dates wrong. You see how this, I told you with the Epstein, anything about it, they don't care about this case at all. They don't give a shit. I did, and so did everyone. We just had to figure out the best way to get it out there. They don't give a shit about this. This is just a cudgel to them. And then they use doomer suckers to bring it in to try to attack him. So I apparently turned against Donald Trump. Mystery to me. I just had a long conversation with him at the UFC. Let me just get this on the record. That is some bullshit. I never turned against President Trump at all. I wouldn't even give this thing any air, except if this doesn't highlight for you the ox's gourd effect, they think they can use me now against him, so they write it this way. Here's CNN telling the exact opposite story. The exact opposite story, the same day. Look at the date. Even Jasmine's looking at the date on the screen. She's like, this can't be true. April 21st, 2026. Jasmine, same day, right? Yep. Trump remorse is far from ubiquitous in MAGA media. Dan Bongino, who went from Facebook famous podcaster, he actually wrote that, to a top position at the FBI, left the Bureau to return to his podcast and remains committed to the president. How can that be? How can that be? Jasmine's left. The Root just told us I turned against the president. This is Zachary Wolf at CNN. They're actually telling the truth. Of course I remain committed to the president. Why would I? Well, no, I never heard of the Root. No, I didn't even know it was a thing. But however it is, you see my point? These liberal media people, flip back. It's the exact opposite. They don't care. These people don't care about Epstein, Iran, FTOs, drug running, fentanyl, homicide rate. They don't care about any of this shit. Yeah, right. I mean, he called it Trump was our first guest on the show, the president. Folks, please don't fall for these ops. They're kicking you in the nuts every single day. You should be asking yourself right now, after the Southern Poverty Law Center stunning indictment that just came out the other day, you should be asking yourself right now, how many of these so-called Trump air quotes, and notice the air quotes here, scandals, how many of these were in fact ops? Matter of fact, the question you should be asking yourself is, were any of them real? Were any of them real? Honestly, I'm not messing with you. I'm not trying to be silly or coy about it. Were any of these things real? The Russia hoax, the impeachment hoax. Were any of these things real? Charlottesville, the fine people hoax. The answer is, I've yet to find one. Folks, these ops are everywhere. Everywhere. Please, please, in the name of all that's holy, please be careful who you trust. You are being lied to by so many people. Thankfully, the Bongino army out there gets it. But I'm going to go through this and I'm going to walk you through how the op, once you recognize the op, it's really hard to unsee it and unrecognize it, okay? I want you to remember this clip I'm going to play now. This clip, you need to bookmark, flags in the chat. Save this, go to X, find it, bookmark it on Rumble, send yourself the link. This is a clip from years ago, but it's Nancy Pelosi describing a process called the wrap-up smear. The wrap-up smear is very simple. It's not complicated. It's how an op starts. You tell liberal media suckers, and now the doomers that work with them, tell them a story. She flags in the chat, tearing it up in the chat every time. Go tell a story, not the story. Trump colluded with the Russians. Trump said the Ku Klux Klan was very fine people. Trump did a quid pro quo. We should impeach him with the Ukrainians. It was an illicit phone call. Just make the story up. Tell people a story, not the story, because those are not the same things. Feed it to dopey liberal media people like you see the Root. Turned against Trump. Really? Mystery to us. And then watch the media run with it and just wrap it up. This isn't me talking. This is Nancy Pelosi describing exactly how the op works. Check this out.
Call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
There you go. That's Nancy Pelosi, who we obviously strongly dislike her ideology. Clear? We good on that? But can we all agree that as a political operator is probably one of the most tactically devious people out there? She's describing to the media exactly how telling a story, not the story, a story designed to be a smear works. She's describing it. Now let's parlay this into what happened with the SPLC and others. I'm going to give you a broader perspective on this because this is happening everywhere. And I got to tell you, I'm doing this podcast sit down with Hannity yesterday on the show with Sean. And we got into a really long conversation about this, about how many people, folks, I'm going to tell you something. I was really, I'm not really shocked often. I was really stunned when I left to take the FBI job, how quickly a bunch of grifters and bums who used to send us emails. I try not to ever show people's texts or DMs, no matter how much I hate them, because I think it's just a really shitty, stupid thing to do. But there's one particular group of these two losers who do a show who I have like a chain of DMs of them. I'm not kidding. When I say begging me to come on their show, I mean like begging. What do we need to do? And I just never wanted to do it because I never thought these two guys. And again, it's not important because I just don't care enough to put it out there, and I'm not going to do that. I think it's just a stupid, cheesy thing to do. But I was stunned when I went in there how many of these losers voluntarily promoted these ops, and I'm thinking it's got to be money. They have to be getting paid off, or they're just that stupid. Pelosi's telling you how it works. So you got a bunch of people now, of course, terrified, hitting the panic button, as we titled today's show, because the work that was done in the past year under Kash Patel at the FBI is now finally starting to come out because the justice process is slow. I'm sorry I can't help you there. It was designed to be slow. So they're falling for this. Here's Chuck Schumer in absolute panic mode. They are like overtime trying to get rid of Kash right now because they're so terrified that their wrap-up smears are all going to come out. Check this out.
Kash Patel must resign immediately. He's not a serious person. He has not shown that he has the skills required for the job. And the last few days have shown he does not have the judgment to lead an agency like the FBI.
I see some of you in the chat are putting two and two together. Why do you? Because I just don't care now. I'm not going to put people's DMs out there. You see how it works? I expect that from Pelosi and Schumer, folks. Like, nobody's surprised that Democrats invent a story, smears and bullshit, and use the liberal media to get it out there. What really stuns me is I leave and I see all these people promoting left-wing stuff to rip apart the Trump administration. Put that Hill article back up again. This is the left. You're aligning with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and telling people with a straight face you're some like super patriot. Take that and shove it up your ass. You guys are nothing but zero dignity losers. Hakeem Jeffries, quote, Democrats working to, quote, make sure Pete Hegseth and Kash Patel are on their way out the door. And you got these suckers promoting this stuff. And even worse, you got suckers falling for it. These are men of integrity. Integrity, my ass. I'm not a shred of integrity. Folks, the op is everywhere. How many of these stories you've been told are actually true? The answer is, I'm still having a hard time finding one. Will Chamberlain on X put this out there yesterday. Folks, I got to tell you, I had forgotten about this one. Here's another op that some of you may not even remember. And of course, this is in context of the SPLC. Again, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. However, the allegations and the grand jury indictment are very serious. Keep this up a second. That the SPLC may have in fact been funding some of the very racist groups they pretended to be fighting. So Will Chamberlain writes on X, think about it. Big liberal donor Reid Hoffman he's talking about. Reid Hoffman was caught funding fake Russia bot farms to get them to support Roy Moore in the Alabama Senate race all the way back in 2018. You guys remember this story? He says, you think these people are above funding bot farms to boost engagement for the most divisive, infighting-prone right-wingers? I want you to think about that second line there. You think they're not funding some of these, quote, right-wingers on our side who are constantly shitting on the Trump administration? You think they're just doing it because they're men of integrity? Here's the article, of course, from SiliconANGLE. Reid Hoffman apologizes for funding fake Russia bot campaign in the Alabama election. I had forgotten about this story. Folks, the ops are everywhere. Everywhere. They are all around you. I don't object to people having a sincere political opinion that differs from mine. Man, I'll put them on the freaking show, their clips sometimes, because I want to make a point. I had that Kalinsky guy on the other day, the clip from him. He wants a national divorce. I said, hey, I agree. I think it's a great idea. What I can't stand is people coming to you pretending to be these super patriot MAGA fans. I'm just trying to save Donald Trump from himself. He don't need your saving, asshole. Folks, again, I was on the pod last night with Sean. I think it's going to air on Tuesday. And he asked me about that tweet I sent out that time that went nuclear about how I was shocked to my core and you can't run a republic like this. You can't. I was shocked to my core. I've discussed this many times. Some of you may have missed it. That tweet, you can go look it up. It's still there. Was about Crossfire, the Russia hoax, and some material I had seen that just blew my mind. You're going to see a lot of the work we were done to clean that up start to get its way out there into the public space soon, too. The doomers will be most upset, of course, because they're always the nothing is happening crowd. The ops are out of control, and they are very easy to conduct now. Why? What changed? There's always been political operations. That's not new. But why so many right now? There's almost nothing you can believe about the Trump administration. I told you. I showed you the Root CNN article. They'll tell you two completely different stories on the same day. Because social media, which I love, I am all for, I have put my entire fortune behind free speech. Let me be crystal clear. But there is a downside to the democratization of information where anybody can put anything out without any accountability. The answer is you have to be savvier as to when you see ops. I love free speech. I am a free speech absolutist. but you are obligated to become savvy and understand probably 90+% of what you're seeing on there is driven by some op somewhere when it comes to President Trump. I'm not talking about like health hacking information. Folks, you can't run a republic like this. You just can't. People have known about these ops, by the way, for years. I'm going to show you that in this upcoming segment. I'm going to take a quick break, but I got some video from John Stossel. I love John Stossel, libertarian-leaning guy. He has been talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center for years. And now you see this indictment. And again, you should be asking yourself the question, is anything I've been told about anything from the left true? The answer is probably not. Folks, the last year, your eyes may have been open to a lot of things, but there was one thing that many of us found particularly disturbing. That was a lot of the infighting on the right. Perfect timing for that one. I think we all agree about freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, the right to life, Second Amendment, which you said, supporting our military and our first responders. We love you guys and ladies out there who serve. Well, there's one company that's been fighting for our rights. They've supported this program from the very beginning. I absolutely love their service. I have it on my phone. They have saved me many times. I can't recommend it enough. Patriot Mobile. You having problems with service in your area? Not having problems with service in your area? You don't want problems in the future? Patriot Mobile. Unlike other mobile providers, Patriot Mobile works on all three major networks. In fact, you can be on multiple networks on the same phone. More importantly, their customers enjoy priority service with the same or better quality as their old providers. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes switching fast and unbelievably easy. Paula switched this over both phones, was off the phone in 5 minutes. Maybe less. Keep your number. Keep your phone or upgrade. Go to patriotmobile.com/Dan and get a free month of service with the offer code Dan. This company, Patriot Mobile, has been fighting for our rights for a really long time. Let's thank them by making the switch today. And just because they're good, they're not asking you to sign up because they fight for you. That's a nice plus, but the service is just damn good. I use it myself. patriotmobile.com/Dan. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan. Make the change today. Excellent cell phone service. patriotmobile.com/Dan. Folks, the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, has been smearing conservatives for years. None of this stuff is new. This is just the first time something has been done about it according to the indictment. And again, the allegations in there. They'll have their day in court like anyone else. However, in the court of public opinion, which we are commentators and are allowed to comment on anything we want, as long as we don't engage in defamation on anyone else, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been up to this for a long time. Do you guys remember this clip John Stossel ran a while ago about the Southern Poverty Law Center? This is really, really interesting. In case you think, at least in the public sphere and the public domain of opinion, oh, they're just some folks with a lot of integrity who are trying to combat really, really awful actors. Really? Awful actors like the Family Research Council that supports like families and stuff? What do you mean? Well, listen to John. He'll tell you what I mean.
Southern Poverty Law Center, based in that building in Alabama, calls itself the premier group monitoring hate groups and other extremists. Looking at their map of hate groups, you'd think hate groups were everywhere. The center also calls the Family Research Council a hate group.
The definition of a marriage is what it's been for 5,000 years. It's the union of a man and a woman.
I often disagree with the council myself, but do they belong on this hate map?
When they don't agree with you politically, they're going to list you as a hater.
You are haters. You hate gays.
No, I don't hate gay people, and I know gay people, and I have worked with gay people.
But once you become a hate group, you're a target.
Developing now, word of a shooting at the Family Research Council there in Washington.
One man was so enraged by what the Southern Poverty Law Center said about the Family Research Council, he went to their headquarters to kill people.
A man shot a security guard in the arm.
Fortunately, that guard stopped the man before he could shoot anyone else.
He told the judge that he was there to kill as many of us as possible because we were a hate group.
You don't think this stuff has a penalty? Folks, let me tell you something. Forget my last job, but the job I had before that as an agent with the Secret Service, do you have any idea how many threats we would get every day? Here's what the liberals will tell you. Groups like the SPLC that label people hate groups. I mean, hate groups, gosh, hate groups, that could lead to another Holocaust. We better take care of that now. Guy shows up to the FRC, shoots the place up. Of course, you know, we got an ongoing situation right now in the Charlie Kirk trial as well. What do you think is going to happen when you label people hate groups? You think you're talking to a bunch of rational actors? Do you understand there is a rather large subset of people that have some DSM diagnosable psychiatric disorder? I'm not telling you all people with these disorders are violent, but many are, that are going to take this information and want to act. We better stop that hate group before it gets worse. That would mean something if they were actually hate groups. The Family Research Council? Turning Point? Folks, as you can tell, if you've been a viewer of my show for the last 3 months that we've been back, or whatever, how much time, I am very hesitant to use clips of Charlie. And the only reason is I candidly just don't want to get emotional about it. That's why. I'm just being straight with you. I'll start to use more of her time because Charlie's wisdom, Charlie Kirk, of course, Charlie's wisdom was timeless. Charlie, to me, and Rush and these icons that we've lost, their wisdom was, Charlie was wise beyond his age because Charlie had to deal with everybody. Charlie had to deal with people with power, people without power, people who were activists, people who were new activists, people who wanted a voice, people who had a voice. And he had to balance all these interests and collectively grow the movement, knowing that sometimes they were kind of competing, but well-intentioned factions within the movement. Here was Charlie on Laura Ingram's show when the Southern Poverty Law Center, labeled Turning Point, an organization dedicated to student activism for faith, family, and country. A hate group? This is the first clip we've run of Charlie in a while, so take it in, because Charlie was wise well beyond his years. Check this out.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has now labeled, you're in the club with me, by the way, they've labeled Turning Point as a hate group.
Yes, it's a
coming
surprise.
From a hateful group like
it's surprised it took them so long to get us on the list.
What took you so long, Charlie?
Understand that they're literally putting high school chapters of ours on a hate group next to the KKK and next to neo-Nazi groups. And, I mean, we can laugh this off. There's an element to this. Remember that there was a shooter that went to the Family Research Council years ago, inspired by the SPLC list. This is them trying to make us basically surrender at Turning Point USA. We're going to do the opposite, and our students are only going to lean in even more. But they can't debate us on our ideas. They cannot have dialogue. They cannot actually go onto the merits of why they are right or why we might be wrong. Instead, they must smear us with the age-old one-liner that you are a racist or that you are a hater.
I'm going to tell you something, man. It's really tough to run. I see you guys in the chat. LE777. Geez, I miss him. Lasso Lena, I miss hearing his wisdom. Blackbeard Pirate, thanks, Dan. Oh, I appreciate it, but that's why it's the reason I don't play a lot of Charlie clips. I just, but we will do more. I promise you. You have my word. It's just hard for all of us. Everyone had a piece of Charlie, and he did that intentionally. Charlie spread himself he didn't spread himself thin. He spread himself thick. Charlie would invest in so many people. He spent so much time on the phone with so many people. That's why I find it so disgusting, people putting all their texts out there with Charlie. He spent time with you on a text exchange trying to help you, and people putting out their texts. It's effing gross, man. I'm not talking about nice ones where people were, hey, Charlie said, I love America or whatever. It's just so pathetic. Charlie warned us about what happens when you get these groups out there which put a target on your back and then go and pretend through an op, at least according to the allegations, that they're fighting this group, the Ku Klux Klan or whoever it may be, while in turn, according to these allegations, laundering money to said group. Now there's a new op around. The Democrats are so terrified. They're so desperate to get rid of Cash and Pete and others before a lot of this work comes to fruition. They are so desperate. They've now invented a new op narrative. Op should mean, when I say op, I mean a new narrative, a bullshit smear, a story. Op smear is probably a better way to think about it. They've invented a new smear to cover the old smear, where they, according to at least the indictment, the SPLC was funding a lot of these groups. They said they were fighting. So the new op to cover up the old op is this. Banshi put this out on X. Good follow. He notes they've settled on the lie, i.e. the op, the smear, and now they're running with it. The SPLC, it was just to pay informants, they note. By the end of the week, the narrative will be that the only reason the SPLC was indicted is to protect hate groups. Oh, that's already that. I'll show you in a second. MSNOW, that's already the op. He puts up some screenshots on this. Here we go. They've already settled on the narrative. The SPLC was indicted for paying sources to infiltrate hate groups, a tactic federal agencies have used for decades. AP, others, they repeat the same lie. Ladies and gentlemen, the federal government law enforcement entities, I can only speak for the FBI and Secret Service where I worked, even when they conduct illegal activities, the government can authorize illegal activities. Yes, I'll explain in a second. When they authorize illegal activities, i.e. sending money to someone in a hate group, there is an extensive process for doing so. Dan, why would the government ever authorize illegal activities? I'll give you an example. When I was at the FBI, I'll throw out some just random, these are not specific to a case, so don't read into it, but however, similar kind of items. If someone is infiltrating an FTO, a foreign terror organization, engaged in drug trafficking, say CJNG or whatever, one of the bigger groups, Los Mayos, at some point, they may have to buy drugs from someone in what we would call a buy and bust. Ladies and gentlemen, and liberal media people who are too stupid, like USA Today, the AP, and others who put out this narrative, that is illegal, correct? Justin, illegal or not? Buying narcotics, illegal. Justin gave us the thumbs up. Let's just make it specific. So they don't go, whoa, you can buy narcotics in CVS. I'm not talking about prescriptions. Let's talk about buying like cocaine. You can't just do that, right? USA Today, you ready for this? So for our FBI agents to authorize that, whether it's an undercover agent or a source that's not an agent, that, there may be those are separate things, you have to engage in a lengthy process because we don't want sources going out there and murdering people and going, oh, I thought you guys said it was okay. That is not a power a civilian 501c3 charity organization has. Oh yeah, we just authorized illegal activities and we just got people going out there doing. That's not how this works. The media knows that. But they've invented this new op to cover up the old op. Because they're full of shit, but they think you are stupid. Here, it didn't even take a week, Banshi's tweet. Here's MSNOW, formerly MSNBC. Here's absolutely hapless, by the way, Michael Steele. I knew this guy in Maryland. This guy is a political chameleon with not an ounce of integrity. I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed. When I ran for office, this guy showed up at a fundraiser, and he was always a bit of a snake. This guy actually, at one point, show you how he licks his finger and sees where the political winds are going. This guy who claims he's now some reformed Republican who sees Donald Trump. This guy's totally full of shit. He was a big grifter. When we were running in Maryland and had some political momentum, he would do anything to get on the campaign trail to seem relevant again. This guy's totally full of shit. He's on this panel with Simone Sanders, who worked with, I think, Bernie at one point in one of his campaigns. And here, listen to the old op transforming into the new op, that somehow it's the federal government now trying to protect hate groups? Really? Check this out.
They've gone after the Southern Poverty Law Center, but not the KKK. They've gone after the people, the civil rights organizations, but not the actual extremist groups.
They just freed the Proud Boys. What do you expect them to do?
You're right, Michael. Well, excuse me, I forgot who we're dealing with.
Thank you.
They're on the side of the extremists, it feels like.
No, they're on the side of racists and people who undermine the very principles of the country. And they have been from the very beginning, because that's where Donald Trump has always nurtured himself. Bottom line.
What's James Lindsay? What does he call it? A Darvo, where you invert the narrative. So the indictment alleges the opposite. Michael Steele's like the federal government is funding hate groups. You understand the indictment alleges the opposite of that. That the federal government was stopping an organization from funding hate groups in a fraudulent manner. That's what the allegation says. They just flipped the narrative totally, and stupid liberals fall for it. The federal government's just protecting hate groups. By stopping a funding source for hate groups? How does that even make sense? Make it make sense, liberals, please. You can't. You have the dumbest audience in the business. You have suckers for an audience that fall. Yeah, man. They didn't even read the indictment. Here's Prairieland Jayapal back in December, already getting out ahead of the story about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Notice how, again, as long as you are in their tent attacking Donald Trump, they don't care. The only ox they want gored is Donald Trump. This is what we would call like pre-bunking for them, except they're not debunking or pre-bunking anything. They're just getting out ahead of a story they want to tell. Here's Prairieland Jayapal back in December about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Check this out.
Based on what I'm hearing, the criticisms of the Southern Poverty Law Center seem to boil down to three things. One, that it has healthy finances and an endowment. Two, that it collaborated with the Department of Justice during the Biden administration. And three, that it calls out white supremacy, including white Christian nationalism. This is such important work, and yet we're trying to undermine the SPLC simply because it disagrees with far-right policies and shines a spotlight on white supremacist ideology.
Hat tip Western Lensman, by the way, a great account for video. Found some of these clips on there. But no, Congresswoman Jayapal, that is not the three biggest complaints. The one biggest complaint, which is in the indictment, is that they were funding groups, they were telling people, donors, they were trying to combat. That's kind of the biggest complaint. Right, with strange money trails. Now, again, that was before. However, you care to revise that statement now? Of course not. Folks, they didn't want to let this op go. They did not want to let this op go. And this op equals smear. The op was that Donald Trump in Charlottesville, talking about the Charlottesville, where we tragically lost someone, at the Charlottesville rally, the op was valuable to them. The fact that the smear was not true, the fact that there may have been some money involved in that came from left-leaning groups like the SPLC, the left will never let this go. It's why they'll never let the collusion hoax go, because they can't. Their entire image optics that they want out there about their party is they are fighting this evil racist Donald Trump, who colluded with the Russians. If they let those two things go, that Donald Trump never colluded with the Russians, he's been Vladimir Putin's worst enemy, and that Donald Trump is in fact not only not a racist, but an active advocate to pull minorities into the Republican tent, they have nothing. Their entire architecture falls apart. The engineering of the building collapses. This is how central this smear, the Charlottesville fine people hoax that Donald Trump called white supremacists and Nazis fine people. This is how central it was to the Democrats and the media's smear operation on this. And that's why this SPLC story has them like this with the panic button. Ding, 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 ding. This is Joe Biden at the DNC. At the DNC. I could play these clips all day. I'm not going to batter you with too many. But this is him at the DNC bringing this up, and he knows it's a lie. Check this out.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas, and chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally.
They love, by the way, Biden loved this veins bulging line. He says it in almost every veins bulging, which is really incredible when you think about it now, this Democrat Party. You fake, phony frauds. You disgust me. Your party right now is fully funded and all the energy is in the from the river to the sea crowd that want to wipe Israel and kill Jews off the map. Your entire party, that is the battery of your party right now. And you dare try to call Donald Trump and his team anti-Semitic? You've got to be shitting me, man. You're walking around there with Hassan Piker. Are you serious? I can't think of a single prominent Democrat that's yes to disavow some of this joker's bullshit. And you're calling Donald Trump an anti-Semite on a documented lie. The freaking transcript is out there. And now you find out a left-leaning group was funding some of this Charlottesville activity, and you're rushing to defend them? I want to pull this clip, too, because this is how, tying it back to Nancy Pelosi's wrap-up smear. Folks, they are very, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. I wish these words would never exit my mouth. The Democrats and the liberal media are very, very good at the wrap-up smear. Nobody conducts an op better than them. Folks, they calculate imagery, specific platforms, targeted audiences, micro-targeted audiences. When they want to smear or a lie out there, whether it's the Russia hoax or something else, they know exactly how to do it. I want you to see if you recognize, I'm just going to play this and see if you recognize the background here, because it's almost more important than what Biden says. You're going to hear Biden give almost the exact same spiel here. But I want you to notice the background. See if you can figure out where this is. And this is not an accident. This is how central the fine people Trump is an anti-Semite racist thing is to their play. They have nothing else to their platform. Check this out.
I made the decision to run for president after Charlottesville. Close your eyes and remember what you saw. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the KKK coming out of the fields with torches lighted, veins bulging, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s.
Veins bulging again, guys. Veins bulging everywhere. He loves this veins bulging line. I mean, he's like obsessed with this. You know Biden, once he gets a thought in his head, like he can't think of anything new. Not a joke. Not a joke. Or I was talking to Sean last night with Kamala Harris. Like, ride the bus, the passage of time. I was at Gettysburg. You think the background there is an accident? Gettysburg, the bloodiest battle in U.S. history. I think the bloodiest day was, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, was Antietam, but the bloodiest battle, casualties, I think we're up in the 50,000 range for you historians in the chat. You think that's an accident? Folks, they are very good at what they do, which is very bad for you. Because in this, thankfully, this era of the democratization of information where anybody at any time can post almost anything on Twitter, and that is a good thing on net. I am a free speech absolutist. I can't say this enough. But it is incumbent upon you to get really good at recognizing ops, because if you don't, you're going to fall into a black hole of bullshit. And you're not going to know what to believe. And you wind up in a chaotic, mind-laden battlefield where everywhere you step, you wind up losing toes. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Josh does some like incredible undercover work. He does. This guy's amazing. We brought him on. He was like, I do undercover. I'm like, you do? I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, you have law enforcement experience? He's like, I don't even need it. I'm just really good at this. So Josh came to me and goes, Dan, I got this on my phone. I got some kind of like undercover footage at an SPLC meeting I infiltrated years ago. I was like, really? I said, I need to see that. I need to see that. So courtesy of Josh, here's some undercover footage of a Southern Poverty Law Center meeting he got into years ago. This is just crazy, man. Check this out.
Power, Colin Powell, Conolangus rice. Conolangus rice sounds like a Mexican dish. Maybe we should put her on a plate and send her to Mexico so the Mexicans will eat her. Right. Just open up your heart and let that hate out.
Show us your face. We want to see your face.
Who said that? You want to see my face?
Clayton, go on, brother.
Do you want to see my face? Don't be afraid, Jasper. We talked about that. Don't be afraid. Shine your light.
Of course, that is not Josh's camera. That is the Dave Chappelle Show. If you are listening on Apple and Spotify, please watch that clip on Rumble. You can see it elsewhere as well. Folks, it's just, I really can't believe that there are suckers that are falling for a lot of this stuff. It is sincerely, like, patently offensive to me that there are still people out there falling for these ops when they are so transparent. The Fine People hoax, the Russia hoax, the Impeachment 1 hoax, the Impeachment 2 hoax. Please learn to see the op, recognize the op. Go check out Lindsay's Darvo principles and how they work, and you'll see the inversion, how it works in live time. And I promise you, it's like riding a bike. It's like riding a bike. You can never forget how to ride a bike. I don't think you can do it. Is that even outside of like some injury to your brain and nervous system? It is almost impossible to unlearn how to ride a bike. Once you see the op, you will never unsee it. It'll be there forever. Folks, one of the things that drives me crazy about the left, too, is they can never tell you the truth. They live in the world of ideas. I've said this often. This is really important you register this in your head. They live in the world of ideas. Tax the rich, defund the police, open the borders. When those ideas become reality and kick people in the nuts, all of a sudden, they run away from the ideas or just change the idea live time. But when you live in the world of ideas and you see what the reality of the idea looks like, now you understand why, like, conservatives still exist. And you go, what do you mean conservatives still exist? Folks, it's really hard to be a conservative. The fact that we don't have the mainstream media, academia, entertainment communities, and we still keep winning elections at all is amazing. The reason we do it, despite overwhelming public and popular pressure to not be conservative and hate Donald Trump, is because conservative ideas actually work, so we don't have to run away from them. I'm going to show you this clip of this lady coming up in a minute. These guys think I should have played this at the beginning of the show. It's a woman there's a new law coming out in Florida about SNAP benefits, basically food stamp stuff, that you can't buy junk food, which is a great law, like pretty common sense, right? That's a conservative idea. I want you to watch this video and take a quick break, but I want you to watch this video of this lady complaining about it. Like, man, how am I going to get my soda? Here's the answer. Get an effing job. You can buy your own soda. Get a job. That's a conservative idea. Liberal idea, you should pay for other people's soda. Hey, let's be honest. The cost of living isn't just high, it's exhausting. If you've been leaning on credit cards lately just to cover the basics like groceries, gas, and utility bills, you're essentially paying a survival tax of sometimes 20% interest or more. You don't want to do that. You want your wallet bigger, not smaller. Your bank account bigger, not smaller. Check out my friends at American Financing. Why? They have a better way. Been with me a long time. They're helping homeowners tap into their equity to pay off high-interest debt with mortgage rates currently in the 5s. On average, American Financing is saving their customers big money, upwards of $800 a month. That's nearly $10,000 a year back in your bank account and your wallet where it belongs. It takes just 10 minutes to find out what you can save. It's really easy. American Financing, they have no upfront fees, and there's no obligation when you talk to one of their salary-based mortgage consultants. Here's the kicker. Start today. You could even delay 2 mortgage payments. Check them out. American Financing. They're America's home for home loans. Here's the number. Write this down. 888-994-7660. Really easy number. 888-994-7660. Or visit them online at americanfinancing.net/Bongino. That's americanfinancing.net/Bongino. Thank you, American Financing. So here's this video. This is what I'm talking about when liberal ideas become reality. This is why they faceplant, and we still continue to win elections despite everybody being against us. I want you to listen to this lady who's quite upset that she can't buy ice cream or soda with your money, not hers, your money. Check this out.
No sodas. You can't get your coffee creamer. You can't even get ice cream. That's wrong. What am I to do? That's wrong. Somebody needs to do something about this. I know it's affecting everybody. I eat healthy. I love my fruit. I love my sweets too.
Hey, who said it? Justin, put this on the screen. MAGA for Life 923. Get a job, lady. Yes. Get a freaking job. I love what she says at the end. Did you guys catch the line? The best line of that whole clip is, man, somebody needs to do something about this. Yeah, you want your ice cream and your sodas? Listen, man, you want to treat yourself to a soda? Go for it. I'm a health hacker. I haven't had a soda. I shit you not. MAGA for Life 923. In, 20 years? I can't even remember the time I even had like a Diet Coke. Ice cream? Wait, you want to? I eat healthy. Okay, well, I don't know how you eat around. Get a job like MAGA for Life 923. MAGA for Life 923 is probably not even running for office. Tell us, man, you're not a candidate for office. She or he gets it. Get a job. Get your ass out of the seat and go get a job. Why are we paying for your, I like my sweets? Then get a job and buy your sweets. Folks, do you want to see liberal ideas become reality? There you go, man. You want to see conservative ideas become reality? Hey, we're going to start to limit this stuff because we don't want you poisoning yourself with basically toxic levels of sugar because we're paying for it. You can pay for whatever you want. I'm a freedom-loving constitutionalist. You want to eat sweets and ice cream? Go for it. I don't have to pay for it. I have a job. I've had jobs going, this, FBI, Secret Service, Fox, author. I've had jobs going way back, NYPD, Key Food on Metropolitan Avenue. I'm trying to think of all the Mount Carmel Cemetery. Yes, I did. Good point, Justin. I did. I had to clean toilet bowls in Finest Supermarket in Glendale. Hey, those were clean toilet bowls. I'm proud of my work, okay? I worked with a plumber one time. Actually, it was my uncle. I had a Newsday paper route. Get a job. Get a freaking job. I am so tired of listening to this bullshit from these liberal people. Oh, we got to take care of it. We can't limit what they buy. No, we can. It's our money. We can do whatever we want with our money. You're damn right. And they can't do math either. Here is Sonny Hostin on The View. God. You know what? Can we do this in reverse? You got my ChatGPT thing. Folks, if you want to get into podcast, radio, or TV business, anyone out there, throw in the chat. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you're live like we are, every once in a while, you're going to screw things up, okay? It's fine. Go back, correct it. Screwed up on the dates in the beginning of the show. You correct it, make it right. It's no big deal. However, there's really no excuse for going on the air and making an argument about something. I mean, a big argument about something that you haven't even looked up in advance. Here's Sonny Hostin. She's trying to make a point here on this clip that the United States has spent more money in Iran or something, or this yearly budget, than we've spent in military campaigns throughout U.S. history. So again, folks, it's not freaking hard. Show my phone, please. This took me less than 10 seconds. I put into ChatGPT, how much money in inflation-adjusted dollars has the U.S. government spent on wars since its founding? They know, well, there's no universal number on because war costs, but they got a general idea. And the clearest answer is $20 to $25 trillion on U.S. wars since 1775. That's not hard. It's not hard to look up before you go on the air and say this from Sonny Hostin. Check this embarrassment out.
I just read that this war is estimated to have already cost us $50 billion. $50 billion, which is more money than this country has spent since World War II. And then in 2027, this president is asking for $1.5 trillion for defense, which would be more money spent in modern history on war.
You can just look this stuff up, man. I don't want to do. I don't want to do the show. I can't. This is too easy. It's not even fair. It's not fair, guys. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I do love doing the show, but it's just this ChatGPT. Where is Jay's Abacus? Is that up front? We still have Jay. Man, that's like you have to be a hardcore P1 to even know what I'm talking about. Is that by the coffee bar up front? We got a little coffee thing up front. There's like a bar in the studio. This is too easy. AI has made show prep so simple. You don't even have to go search the interwebs anymore. You can just put the question in AI. Sonny, I'm just trying to help. Sonny was actually very nice to me when I was doing CNN commentary. I'd see her in the green room. It's not personal. I'm just telling you, like, I get it. Live TV, people screw stuff up, but you should probably look the stuff up. That doesn't happen when you live in the world of ideas, folks. Is that Jay's Abacus? Jasmine. So here's Jay's Abacus. Folks, you have to be a hardcore P1 to know what this is. A guy named Jay. People used to think it was a person, Jay Zabacus. It's Jay and his abacus. A guy named Jay sent us this abacus when I was on the air about 10 minutes back in 2015. I just started the show. It has been with us ever since. This is Jay's Abacus. Sonny, try one, man. You don't even need GPT. So they had a California gubernatorial debate, and these hapless Democrats are on stage with a couple of Republicans, Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, for the California governorship, obviously occupied right now by far-left Gavin Newsom. I want you to watch this clip because I addressed this yesterday, how Democrats like Tom Steyer, I played the clip yesterday, they don't know what to tell residents of California Democrats because there's a liberal in charge now implementing liberal ideas, and the reality of said liberal ideas has been kicking California residents square in the balls over and over. So they don't know what to do. So I guess they watched Tom Steyer, liberal billionaire running for the governorship, fumble in the interview we played yesterday. He's like, I don't want to grade Gavin Newsom. I haven't been following it. You haven't been following the governorship and you're running for governor and you just said that out loud? It wasn't the voice in your head? Here's another couple of goofballs. Here's Katie Porter, another Democrat running, who's like, well, I'm a tough grader, but keep in mind, California has one of the worst homelessness problems in the country. It's horrendous. Here she is. She doesn't know what to do. She knows she has to give a grade, though. So watch the dance that happens on this when they ask Katie Porter for a Newsom grade on homelessness. Check this out.
What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness. I don't think this has been an easy problem to solve, but I do give him a lot of credit for calling attention to the problem. When he campaigned 8 years ago, he was talking about housing when nobody else was.
Wow, by the way, I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness. My goodness.
That was a great response by Steve Hilton. That's why I left it at B. I want to be in her class. You get a B? They have one of the worst homelessness problems in the country, but she can't say that. So what does she do? She does what Democrats always do. Cite someone's good intentions. They do this all the time. Not the reality of what those good intentions resulted in the real world. So, just like the lady we saw before is confused why she can't buy ice cream and soda with food stamps. The liberals will tell you, I can't believe we're doing this to this poor lady and others, stopping them from buying stuff. The reality is then people buy this stuff and wind up back in the hospital. Some of them are on Medicaid as well, and you wind up paying for the health care because you paid for food that was poisoning them. They always go back to the good intentions, never the results. Oh, I'm a tough grader. I give him a B. He gets an F. Let me make this easy for you. For effed up. Here's another one on the stage. It's the same debate. Here's Javier Baccaria, sometimes known as Javier Becerra. One of the guys inside is like, I didn't even know this guy was running. He's become such an afterthought. Cabinet member in the Biden administration who ridiculously called him Javier Baccaria. Here's Baccaria, again, on the grade. Forget the fact that he gives him an A, which is hilariously dumb. They must have learned their lesson. But I want you to cite why he gives Gavin Newsom. Listen to why he gives Gavin Newsom an A. And you'll see exactly what I mean. The left is all about ideas and good intentions. They ignore reality completely. Check this out.
What grade does he get on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
Effort, kids. Give him an A. Great. Results, he gets an F. But however, good effort. Good intentions. It's all about bullshit, intentions, narratives, telling people a story rather than a story. Here, this was not in the show. This is a producer special. Fox News. California City removes homeless and beautification project before Biden's summit with Chinese President Xi. Make it look good for the summit. And then just get back to the same old problem we have with homeless people. But you give them an A for effort. An A for effort. Man, listen, I'm not telling you, again, that Republicans are going to be the solution to all your problems, folks. I'm not. We've had some major failures, too. I'm just telling you, like, the cause of all your problems, brothers and sisters, are Democrats. It's not a perfect choice. You got a midterm election coming up. I know your frustration with a lot of folks on our side. I get it. I'm just telling you, like, this is not a perfect choice. You're not asked to choose between Jesus and Satan. That's an easy pick. That's not the way this works. A lot of choices in life are on the margin, a bad choice or a worse choice. Take the bad one, not the worst one. And I'm not telling you that about all. Some Republicans are quite good. You got Mike Lee and others out there. These people are causing your problems. They live in the world of good intentions and terrible results. Here was another one of their intentions they put out there. Hey, we got to defund the police. Now, that was just a stupid idea from the start. However, they're doing it again when it comes to ICE funding and others. They have run on this stuff, folks. You'll never see me going to go down that road ever. God forbid. Because the reality of that is people are going to die and die like quickly and right away. There are thousands, and I can make a strong data-driven case. It's hard to prove a counterfactual. It's actually impossible in many cases because you can't run an experiment here, be unethical. But President Trump's focus on law and order and the work we did at DOJ with DEA and FBI and elsewhere to clean up the streets, there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people alive right now because of the president's focus on law and order. And we're not going back, not on his term. We're not going back to craziness in the streets again. I want you to see what results look like when you implement things like broken windows policing, when you alter how the FBI in a better way can work with local law enforcement on clearing state warrants, when you move assets around to places like Memphis. Here's Austin Justice on X. Memphis was one of the most dangerous cities in America. It's now becoming a model for how to fight crime when you have a terrible DA. Look at these numbers. Murders down 47%. Carjackings down 48%. Robberies down 51%. Vehicle theft down 80%. He goes into what changed. I can tell you what changed because I lived through it. Operation Viper was our operation with the FBI and state and local authorities in Memphis. When we pushed assets down there, focused on clearing warrants from low-hanging fruit from violent criminals who were on the street, broke up criminal syndicates and drug networks in conjunction with our DEA partners, used technology that some of the local agencies didn't have to help find some of these people. It's not a mystery, folks. We got bad guys off the street, and a limited number of bad guys commit the overwhelming amount of crime. Less than 5% of the population commits upwards of 75 to 80% of the violent crime. You go get that 5%, crime rates fall off the face of the earth. It's not a freaking mystery. And all we got, going back to the beginning of the show when I told you how the left-wing media cannot stand Kash Patel because of his results and this new FBI. They can't stand him. They will do anything to get him out of there. When we first got in there, one of the things we pushed for early, I don't know if I told you you guys this story yet, excuse me. I'm going to stumble over my words there. One of the things we pushed early was I wanted to rebuild in the FBI a sense of pride because the organization was battered from years of weaponization, just shit leadership. I mean, the stuff they did was real, and we had to get rid of these folks and reform it. But one of the things I did early is I was down at, I don't think I told you this before, I was down at Quantico, which is our training center in Virginia, and I was going through the training course. And there were some really good guys down there who were in our PT and defensive tactics shop. And I said, guys, when you look at organizations there's a sense of pride above and beyond what you see in the media and the mode and the mean. And I right away thought of the Marine Corps. I was not in the Marines. I wish I were. To Marines, they're never former Marines. You're a Marine before anything. You'd be the CEO of IBM. You're a Marine first, CEO IBM second. They are so immensely proud of this storied organization. And one of the things they do is they have this event they do, the Crucible, where it's just a really grueling physical day, obstacle course. It's challenging exercises. And when they're done, that Eagle Globe and Anchor, it's given to them. The ceremony is just really moving. I strongly encourage you to look up some videos on it. We're not the Marine Corps. We're a law enforcement organization. However, I thought it was really important that at the end, before these students graduated, I said, guys, I talked to the assistant director of training. I said, I want something like that. I said, I want these guys and ladies to go through a really grueling physical event that's going to be really hard and really dirty. Bear crawl them, do whatever you have to do. And I said, when it's over, I want you to gather all the students after they're exhausted, they're breathing through their mouths, they're dirty, some of them got cuts and scrapes. I said, I want you to walk them up to that wall. What wall? A wall that has pictures of agents who were killed in the line of duty. I said, I want you to tell them what happened, what they're taking on by putting that badge on, what they could lose, their lives, if they put that badge on, and the risk they're taking, because I want them to feel a sense of pride in an organization where people have been lost enforcing the law. And you're going to get them right there, and you're going to tell them why they just did that event. You got to earn that. That mattered to me. I'm not trying to be anyone's motivational speaker. And how does that tie to this? Because, folks, there were a lot of bad apples in there. And there were people who so objected to some of these changes, like when we changed the physical fitness requirements. Pull-ups were basically an optional component of the test. They weren't scored. I said, no, we're changing that. You should be able to pull yourself over a fence in a foot pursuit. This is not a complicated requirement. It's a widely accepted physical metric of skills for the job. There was like an uproar. People like, how do you do? Because we're doing it. That's why we're doing it. Because I said we're doing it, and we're doing it. And we did it. And then Kash said, hey, I think we should bring in some defensive tactics, mixed martial arts instruction because these agents should know how to defend themselves. And we had some loser, asshole, doomer crowd, dipshit morons, zippos out there. They were like, teaching these guys how to fight. They don't need that. They arrest people in groups. I was like, oh, really? Do me a favor, play that NYPD video. You ever arrested anyone? Most of the people saying that, by the way, never actually arrested someone. I did. I spent 12 years in the Secret Service and 4 years with the NYPD. I've actually arrested people. And I've got news for you. Play this video on VO over there. A lot of people, this may be stunning, hat tip Officer Tatum for putting this on his show. A lot of people don't want to get arrested. Watch this. Just keep watching here. This guy just doesn't want to be arrested. So why learn how to, there you go. They don't need to know how to fight, guys. Just let him go. Guy jumps on the train tracks. I'm out. I'm not going to get arrested today. People complain. I believe Dan and Cash are trying to train these FBI folks how to defend themselves against someone who doesn't want to be arrested. Look at this video. Guy just walks away. How many do you count there, guys? One, there's a sergeant. I see the chevrons there. Another one, two. Is there? No, there's a third. I'm not listening. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking anybody. I'm just telling you, this video is out there. I don't know. Can they? I don't know. Guy just walks away, jumps, gone on the other side of the track now. Say, hey, let me get my phone. Let me tell you why I'm not going to get arrested today. You see how the doomers and stuff, no matter what you do, they want an ineffectual. They want a bunch of like people eating soda and ice cream. They don't want actual FBI agents because they're easier to manipulate. The physical crowd that takes care of their body and is interested in physical fitness, those are the and former military folks, those are the people you want in the FBI because they're going to be disciplined in how they conduct themselves in their daily lives. And they didn't want that. They want undisciplined people who will go and raid Mar-a-Lago. They fought us every step of the way. You want to see how quickly things can change too? Here's a video from the Buffalo Police Department. This is apparently two officers just walking down the street. You're going to see body cam video. Just walking down the street. You're going to notice the guy looks to his right into a convenience store, and this is what he sees. Play that clip.
This is a point of view from one of the Buffalo police officers. Williams is pointing a gun at the cashier, and that's when Williams notices them too. He opens the door and shoots at the officer. Then in body camera footage, you can hear commands from the officer to drop the gun.
Put the gun down! He's shooting! Radio stop!
Footage from the second officer on duty shows the moments after that shot is fired by Williams. Buffalo police confirm that the officer, who has only been on the streets for about 4 months, shoots twice at the suspect. One bullet hitting his gun, the other his arm. That's when a foot chase ensues. And in the video, you can hear an officer say the suspect is carjacking someone.
He's getting into a car! He's getting into a car! The guy's bailing out!
That's when Buffalo...
That's so weird. There was a foot chase. Hey, Justin, when you're in a foot chase, what's happening in a foot chase? What does that mean? So running, if someone's running, he thinks it's a trick question. Someone's running. So just more than one person. So Josh, this is for you because Justin seemed confused. Do you think running requires the ability to run like cardiac output and muscle development? Just check it.
Veins bulging.
It requires veins bulging. But actual veins bulging because your cardiac output goes up because your quadriceps, biceps femoris, soleus, and your gastroc, you're actually moving your iliopsoas muscle in the hips. It's just so weird how that happens. Yet people objected when we changed the physical fitness requirements. Like my mother-in-law said, I cannot believe you're changing. Well, you better believe it because it's happening. All right, I got one last video for you today. It relates to the Virginia redistricting. So as I told you yesterday, a judge has put a slow roll on the gerrymander in Virginia. I gave you the numbers yesterday. Folks, was not a great day in Virginia the other day. The fact that it's going to be a 10-1 delegation from a 6-5 delegation now, and they've basically disenfranchised 90% of Virginia, a good portion of which are Republicans, is quite disgusting. However, there's an opportunity in the Florida legislature coming up just in the coming days and weeks to redistrict Florida as well, which has a number of incoming new folks to the state of Florida. And Hakeem Jeffries, the dreadful minority leader in the House, who is the new Nancy Pelosi, who understands a wrap-up smear too, he basically went after Ron DeSantis with this like bullshit faux bravado, like fake Braveheart speech, like, I'm coming down there and I'm going to campaign for redistricting in Florida. Justin, you're a Florida resident the longest, right? Hakeem Jeffries, how popular do you think Hakeem Jeffries is in Florida? No, that's not an answer. That's not a number. Justin's laughing. He doesn't. Hakeem Jeffries in the state of Florida is probably at negative 426% approval. That's true. That's if anybody actually cares about Hakeem Jeffries at all in the wonderful, great red state of Florida. So Governor Ron DeSantis, who's done an amazing job over his 2 terms out here, Governor Ron DeSantis had a few words for Hakeem Jeffries. He wants to come and campaign to maintain the status quo rather than Governor DeSantis engaging in a redistricting map here. Check this out.
This guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House. And he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, say, Florida, we're going to go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Voters will not like what they see. They will not want that type of ideology. And so the door is open. The invitation's out there. I don't think there'd be anything better for the Republican Party of Florida but to have Jeffries there.
I don't even know if I can read this comment. RHIOTRE, Riotri in the chat. Hakeem is as welcome in Florida as an STD, I intentionally moved away from the microphone. I don't know who's... You guys in the chat, man, you make my day. I'm telling you, this chat is just like electric. That is it. That's a great way to kind of wrap up the show. Hey, we were supposed to have Dr. Marty Makari on today. I know some of you are probably asking. It's going to be a great interview. Unfortunately, it was a scheduling thing. He works in government. That takes precedence. Their work there. We'll get to it. We're trying to get him back next week. He's the commissioner at the FDA. Many of you know him from his time at Fox. He's a good friend of mine as well. We are going to reschedule that interview. It's going to be about a topic very, very sensitive. I am a big health hacker, and if you guys are not online as often as I am, the topic of psychedelics, basically psilocybin, ibogaine, even LSD and MDMA and other drugs like that. Like, well, why is that in the news? Well, because a lot of health hackers out there who've had issues with substance abuse and other things, psychiatric issues, have found these compounds to be of assistance. And there's been some major moves on that. So we're going to reschedule that. We have a great guest for you tomorrow. I want to get this thing knocked out first, but I promise, if you're into the health hacking space, you will not be disappointed, okay? So we will get that back hopefully sometime next week. It was just a scheduling issue, and I totally understand. We're on a really tight timeline with the shows, so it's tough. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out Haley at noon, rumble.com/Haley. And then Vince, Everyday Vince had a huge audience this morning at 8 a.m. Rumble.com/Vince, one of the best commentators in the business. He has a live chat too that's very vibrant. You can check them out every single day. And please download the Rumble app. It is free. And give the Dan Bongino Show a follow. Or if you want to go on the web, that's cool too. Rumble.com/Bongino. Click that follow button. And if you wouldn't mind giving us a follow on Apple and Spotify as well, we really appreciate it. I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
I'm Haley Caradia,
host of Vince,
host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report,
live 8 a.m. Eastern weekday mornings,
weekdays at noon. If you miss it, no worries. The show will always be
right here
and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.